You guys need a vacation? I know I do, but who has time to plan it? This episode's sponsor does. At angelsfriendlygetaways.com, you can book the travel you dream of. They do business travel, island getaways, family getaways, all-inclusive getaways, intimate getaways. And for you people that travel for sports like I do, they do sports package getaways that include tickets and hotel. Listeners of this podcast can book packages that include Cage Titans, Fighting Championship, Fight Time Pro MMA, Bellator MMA, and of course the UFC. One of the hottest packages they have is for UFC 194, the Aldo McGregor card, at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. You guys know I was there for UFC 189, and you don't want to miss this one. You can find Angels Friendly Getaways on Facebook and at angelfriendlygetaways.com. That's angelsfriendlygetaways.com. angelsfriendlygetaways.com. Let's start the show. Yes, sirree. Welcome back, everybody. It's me again, Ed Carvalho, mixed martial arts analyst for page2sports.com, and this is number 12 podcast for the Carvalho MMA podcast. That's named after my Twitter handle, at Carvalho. You can follow me there for all the articles that we publish in page2sports.com and all the stuff that me and the guys that write for Combat Sports put on the internet for you lovely people to read. It's been a while, so there's a lot to catch up on. I'll get right to it. Biggest news that came out over the weekend was Jon Jones has been reinstated back into the UFC's roster. Lorenzo Fertitta had some words for him. I wrote an article about it. It's up on page2sports.com. You guys should check that out. But he's back, and I know Dana White said he'd give him an immediate title shot. So that would mean him and Daniel Cormier facing each other once again. Cormier was pretty adamant about saying he would not fight him in New York. So my dream match of Jon Jones fighting either him or maybe they'll do the Chris Weidman, King of New York. If you remember one of the earlier podcasts, I think it's number 6 or 7, when I was in Vegas for UFC 189, Dana White had said that that was the idea, was to have him and Jon Jones and Chris Weidman fight each other for to see who the King of New York was at Madison Square Garden. So, I haven't heard any new word on whether or not the UFC was granted the injunction to hold fights in the state of New York. That'd make me happy as hell. But anyway, so there's no update with that. But I don't think Jon Jones will be fighting Daniel Cormier in New York. One of my co-workers at Page 2 Sports said he thinks it's going to be UFC 200 at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas when they have their big 200th show in July. He might not be far off, but we'll see. Daniel Cormier is happy he's back. Jon Jones is definitely happy he's back. And there's a lot of positivity coming out of his training camp saying that he seems focused and he's not going to be messing up anymore. But time will tell. We'll see what happens when he finally steps back in the cage. Hopefully it's... I think he should do a rematch with Daniel Cormier after he fights someone else. So if I get my wish, I'd still like to see him fight Chris Weidman at the Garden and then fight Daniel Cormier. Win or lose, because that'd be like a King of New York, an unofficial title type of thing. So if he lost, he wouldn't be really losing his light heavyweight title, but then people would question, maybe Chris Weidman should be. It's created a whole mess. But anyway, back to what we've missed since we've been gone. So King of the Cage, middleweight champ, Daniel El Leon Hernandez. He's a guy that we've been following over at Page 2 Sports since June. He was the champion. He actually lost on October 17th, that Saturday. Unfortunately, it was a TKO in the first round against Daniel Madrid. One of the podcasters over at Page 2 Sports, where I write, actually sat down and did an interview with him. And, I mean, he knows the guy, so we have a connection to him, Page 2 Sports, and we've been following him. He's fought, I mean, that's his third fight, and he pretty much fought like every other month. So for a title holder, he was really busy defending that title. So I feel like he just lost because, I mean, maybe, you know, he's in his mid-30s, and maybe the training regimen just caught up to him, because that's really busy for a champ to be fighting. I mean, when you look at champions in other professional level MMA promotions, they're they fight twice a year, maybe 3 times in the span of a year, not every other month. I mean, he fought in June, he fought in August, and then he fought in October. That's a lot, man. So hopefully he comes back, though, because like I said, we have a connection to him over at Page 2 Sports, and I was sad to see that he lost. So I've never met the guy, but I've written about him, and anyway, hopefully he comes back. What else happened while we were away? World Series of Fighting 24. John Fitch beat Yushin Okami, and in that same event that Nick Newell, he hadn't fought in a while, and then he fought, and he won a decision, but he also retired right after that, which, I mean, I guess he's feeling it, I mean, as far as like his body and wear and tear and things like that. But if you don't know the name, you'll definitely know who he is when I describe him to you, because he is the MMA fighter that is missing the lower part of his arm. So I believe it's his left arm. So if you don't know him by name, I'm sure you're going, oh yeah, no, I know who that guy is. It's messed up. But anyway, he was a really good fighter. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I was sad to hear the news, because I enjoyed watching him fight, but from what I read, it didn't seem like the Nick Newell that most fans know, and he felt it too. So he had a shot at the title, and you know, he didn't quite win. So but he was still fighting. He's a young guy, so if he wanted to come back, he couldn't, and I'm sure if he did, it'll make big news, just because of the record he has and the work he's done and how far he's come in the sport. So in that same event, though, Vinny Magalhaes, Renato Laranja's favorite fighter, former Titan FC champion, fought Matt Hamill, and he submitted him by knee bar in the first round. So Vinny Magalhaes making his name known in World Series of Fighting. We're going to see him. That's a big boy, and I mean, he competes a lot in Metamoris. I mean, when I say he's a big boy, he's not fat. If you don't know who he is, he's definitely in shape. I mean, he's a strong guy. And if you follow the Twitter battle beef between him and Renato Laranja, it makes for some good comedy. There's a lot of funny memes out there on Twitter about them too. But you guys can go look that up after you listen to this. And then we had... just looking over my notes, Bellator 144. That was one of those cards that weekend, which was last weekend, the weekend we're coming off of. So you had Bellator 144, and then on Friday, and UFC Fight Night from Dublin on Saturday. I mean, those cards they were hyping them. There was a title fight on the Bellator card. It was supposed to be Marcos Galvão and Eduardo Dantas, which is I was looking forward to, because I like watching them both fight for the bantamweight title. And Dantas hurt his rib. Sounds really familiar. I think he's Nova União too. It seems like rib injuries are popular there, because that's the same thing that happened with Jose Aldo back in July, when I flew all the way out to Vegas to see him fight, and he didn't make it. So anyway, but they changed up the card, and the new champ that won that night was the underdog. Rafael Carvalho fought Brendan Halsey. If you remember, Halsey got stripped of his title because he didn't make weight. So they were fighting for the vacated title, and it looked like, I mean, Halsey's a beast. He was grinding him out, taking him down at will. And it just looked like it was going to be a long night for Carvalho. And out of nowhere, there's that saying, there's a puncher's chance, but it looks like they should switch it for MMA because there's always a striker's chance that a striker can win. And Carvalho landed a Boss Rutan-esque liver kick right on Halsey's liver and sealed the deal. So that was a shocker because I was sitting back watching it like, oh, this is gonna be a long fight, and all of a sudden pop, and he dropped and he was on top of him, and now Rafael Carvalho is the champ at Bellator from that event. But a couple of fights of note that stuck with me. Early in the prelims, Matt Bissett had submitted Kevin Roddy in the first round with a really nasty heel hook in round one. His foot didn't look too good. The only reason why that I say that's a match of note to me is because Kevin Roddy is one of Kurt Pellegrino's guys, and my instructor got his black belt from Kurt Pellegrino, and there's actually a seminar coming up November 9th that he'll be at our academy in North Brunswick, New Jersey. So anyway, and I met him at the last time he fought here in Jersey in Atlantic City. He won. I think that was Bellator 118 at the Revel before it closed down. And he's a really good guy. Never takes any losses to heart. He always seems at ease. So I was sad to see him lose because obviously I'm gonna root for the Jersey guys to win since I'm from New Jersey. And if I had to pick the best fight on that card that night, I'd say Goiti Yamaguchi versus Kobayashi, and with the submission he got. I mean, he was controlling the match. He did some really nasty jiu-jitsu. The way he set up the Kimura a couple of times he did like a body check. He put the guy in his guard and then did a body triangle while the guy was in his guard facing him, which I just don't know why I've never thought that was to be a thing. It makes perfect sense. He was able to attack the arm a couple of times, and then he used it to take his back, and it was a really good fight. Tough opponent too, but Yamaguchi managed to get behind him and sink the choke in. So that was worth watching. But oddly enough, as many finishes that were in that event, they didn't do good ratings. I don't know if it was the timing or the time of year, because this time of year is baseball's ending, football is beginning, and there's a lot of these other traditional sports that'll steal attention away from MMA, and I don't watch them. I only watch MMA, as you guys know. So yeah, they didn't do as well as they had hoped. I was reading this morning actually that the ratings were probably the lowest they've had in a while. So not that great news, especially coming off of when you look at Dynamite. They're expecting bigger numbers for Dynamite, and while the Gate did well as far as people physically being there in attendance, they didn't get the ratings they wanted for that. So I don't know. We'll see if that messes with Bellator stock at all, because they're owned by Viacom, and Viacom sees them as something that's not worth keeping around. They could dump them, and then Bellator will be back somewhere. But they've been with Viacom a long time, so that's probably not going to happen. But anyway, talking about cards and injuries with Bellator 144, times 2 and worse for UFC Fight Night. The UFC in Dublin, man. Stipe Miocic was supposed to fight Ben Rothwell, and then Joseph Duffy, whose claim to fame is that he was the last guy to beat Conor McGregor. He was going to fight Dustin Poirier, who Conor McGregor has beaten, and Duffy got himself concussed the Saturday before the event, and doctors didn't clear him to fight, so they had to scratch the card. I think Poirier's ranked like number 13, so the fact that Poirier didn't look to fight anyone else was a smart move by him. People are mad at that. Okay, your main event, your co-main event got scratched from the card. Why is it worth watching? Because it's MMA. If you're an MMA fan, you like watching MMA, and that's what seems cool about Dublin, man. They love the sport there. Nobody seemed to give a damn that these main events where the people were still there to support their fighters. So that was good to see, and I'm glad that